Imagine an elaborate cave system deep underneath the Barrens.
The Madman!
The Wailing Caverns is here! It's a really cool mini set, as the Wailing Caverns is a low-level dungeon right in there. While there were only 4 cards officially revealed, I am going to risk my life and limb to bring you 4 leaked cards. I normally don't do this, but it was leaked from Blizzard themselves. And it's like all over the internet already, so I don't feel too bad doing this. So let's get started with the big cycle of the mini set, which is the Dungeoneer Cycle. Looks like this cycle is 3 mana 2/3 cards, which draw you a specific spell with a specific school attached, and rewards you on top of that with a bonus effect if you manage to do so. So everyone knows Shaman's in a pretty weak spot, and mini sets are a great opportunity to shake things up by giving the weakest class like the better cards. For example, Primal Dungeoneer, 3 mana 2/3, Battlecry, draw a spell. If it's a nature spell, also draw an elemental. That's really good. It's a 3 mana 2/3 that draws you 2 cards. That's actually kind of insane. Now it draws you 2 really specific cards if you manage to fulfill the first part, which is drawing a nature spell. But that's doable in Shaman without that much adjustment. There is a Shaman deck out there right now, which has basically only nature spells and has enough elementals in there. You ran Town Crier, 2 of the 1-drop, along with 4 or 5 rush minions. But I think in a similar way, you can run 2 Primal Dungeoneer and then have roughly 5 nature spells, and that would be all you'd have to have. Now Shaman does have quite a few more of that. You have Rockbiter Weapon and Storm Strike, both nature spells, and both interact with the elemental that draws you a weapon, and that weapon is Doomhammer. And then pow pow, you do a bunch of damage. Primal Dungeoneer is a really good fit for that deck and could push that deck power up fairly significantly. It's a really good card. Frostweave Dungeoneer. Again, very specific. It's 3 mana 2/3, Battlecry, draw a spell. If it's a frost spell, summon 2 1/1 elementals that freeze. Unfortunately, there are only 2 really good frost spells right now, and that's Brain Freeze and Oasis Ally. You definitely want to draw a frost spell if you're playing Frostweave Dungeoneer, because if you do, you're getting a 3 mana 4/5, and 2 of the 1/1s also have added utility in that they freeze. And you draw a card. That is a really powerful card if you draw a frost spell. It needs another good frost spell probably, and it needs to actually have enough other cards to make sense to run Mage as essentially a mid-range deck is what it would become. So the theory is that each class will probably get 3 class cards. I'm almost certain there will be a frost spell in there, which will probably make or break Frostweave Dungeoneer. Priest gets Devout Dungeoneer, 3 mana 2/3, Battlecry, draw a spell. If it's a holy spell, reduce its cost by 2. You might ask yourself, aren't these cards just good enough if they just draw the spell and maybe sometimes their effect goes off? And that might actually be true. That said though, the Scorpid is better than a 3 mana 2/3 that draws a spell. The Devout Dungeoneer doesn't really look like it has a use because Scorpid is probably just better. And that's mostly because Priest would like to run shadow spells, because Hysteria is a shadow spell. Mutinous the Devourer. This is the highlight and end boss of the Wailing Caverns. 7 mana 4/4 Murloc. Battlecry, eat a minion in your opponent's hand, gain its stats. That's some serious disruption. Given how many mid-range decks are running Alexstrasza as their finisher, Mutinous gives you the big chance to eat their Alexstrasza. That's a 7 mana 12/12. Force your opponent to discard a good card. Of course, it's random, so if they have more than 1 minion in their hand, not necessarily gonna get the Alexstrasza. Also, no minion mage is a very popular deck right now, in which case it's 7 mana 4/4 and you're rather sad. But of course, no minion mage can easily put minions into their hand as well. Mutinous is nearly always at least a 2-for-1, since it kills one of the opponent's cards in the hand, and they have to use a card to deal with Mutinous. I think it's well suited for mid-range and possibly even control. Control gets a tool against combo. This has the potential to break the Lifesteal Demon Hunter OTK, for example, at the very least, it's going to make for a very cool tech card. And at the very high side, it could be a mainstay, which you just put into your deck if you're a mid-rangey deck by default, because maybe you hit Alexstrasza, maybe you just hit a variety of random cards. Okay, now, don't tell anyone. Let's take a look at the secret leaked cards from the Russian Blizzard Twitter. Note, because these cards were in Russian, the card names are not accurate, and I'm going to give my best guess on what the card should be named. Got a Druid Legendary, Lady Anacondra, 6 mana, 3/7, your nature spells cost 2 less. What at first may look like filler legendary super boring is actually potentially deck defining and format warping. This fits right into Celestial Alignment Druid, a deck that I did say that it had the potential to warp the meta. I am once again making that prediction. Lady Anacondra, post Celestial Alignment, can be played, and then your Innervates and your Lightning Blooms will actually grant you mana. And then you draw out your entire deck and then you play Cthulhu, because your entire deck of nature spells will cost 0. You play it all. This could be it. Deviate Venomwing, 8 mana, 4/9. After you cast a nature spell, summon a 4/2 snake with Rush. It's a beast. This is basically a very specific mount seller, and I just don't really see a purpose for this one. Seems like big filler card. And then you've got 2 cards that deal with a new small mechanic, All Devouring Ooze, which is the 3 mana 3/2 with Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 Adventurer with a random effect. Adventurers come with 1 random effect of either Rush, Taunt, Divine Spirit, Wind Fury, Poisonous, or Lifesteal, so 6 possible effects. So that is basically a better piloted Shredder. 3 mana 3/2 instead of 4 mana 4/3, and always gets you a pretty good 2-drop. This is a card you could just generally see in a lot of mid-range decks, but especially exciting for Death Rattle Hunter decks, because their 2 mana Death Rattle card can pull out a 3 mana Death Rattle card, and this is an efficient 3 mana Death Rattle card. And finally, Hiccup Group, which is what I hope the card will be named, because that would be so fitting. It's a 7 mana Paladin spell, which summons 5 2/2 Adventurers with random effects. And that's a really cool flavor. It's just basically right outside the Wailing Caverns. You can imagine 5 completely random adventures putting together a group and then trying to take on the Wailing Caverns. It's difficult to imagine a use for a card, which is, just paying a bunch of mana in order to summon 5 2/2s. There was an interesting idea to use it with High Abyss Allura, where this is the only card in your deck, only spell in your deck, and then you would hopefully use your Wandmaker 1 mana spell or your coin and your Allura to pull out this pickup group, but the payoff is not nearly as good. So thanks for watching me review these 4 Barons mini set Wailing Caverns cards. Looking forward to seeing what the other Dungeoneers will pull and what kind of very specific decks that might be put together with these.